Hello, I'm Rosie. As I mentioned in my previous video, my October book haul, I need to rein in my book buying habits and actually read the books that I own. Here I probably have more than 20 books that I want to read, so I thought I might just develop a system and try and resist buying books and going to the library, because then I just end up getting more books accumulating on my to-read list and never actually reading the ones that I bought because I wanted to read them. I'm just going through library books because I have to return those, and just continuing buying more books. So I have a plan, and that is each month I'm setting myself the number of books to read, and at the end of the month I will review those books in one big wrap-up video, and I will try and stick to that. But if I do end up finishing those books early, I will film a wrap-up then, and I won't try and be restrained by months or anything. It will just be an as and when I finish those books. And then when I feel like I have accomplished a large number of books and I feel like I'm running low on books to the point where I cannot complete my little quota for each month, then I am allowed to buy a book, or if it's a special occasion, or if I get given a book. Those are the only occasions when I can buy a book. I hope that makes some sense. So each month I am going to try and listen to one audiobook, read and review 3 books that I've been sent for review or selected to review from NetGalley, 3 to 4 books that I actually own, and 1 challenge video. I've kind of fallen out of the habit of doing my TBR jar challenges, and I would like to get back into the habit of that. However, because I'm not allowed to buy any books, I've had to go through and edit some of them so that I can actually select a book from my selection for each of those ones without having to go to a bookshop. For the rough month of November, the audiobook I am going to try and listen to is Graceling, which is the first book in the Seven Kingdoms trilogy, written by Christine Gashur, and it's narrated by Emma Powell. It's about people being born with special skills, and the main character's skill, I believe, is killing. That's what she's really good at. Sounds quite interesting, and I'm quite looking forward to reading it. I've heard really good things about it, and it doesn't seem like too much of a difficult listen either. I then have 3 review books. So those 3 are The Mind of the Phoenix by Jamie McLachlan. It's, I believe, the first book in the Memory Collector series, and again it's about someone with powers, and she is a telepath and can read minds. And by she I mean Moira, the main character. In the world she lives in, people with that gift are treated as slaves, and I think she has to try and survive that, but then a serial killer comes into the question, and I think the government wants to recruit her to catch this serial killer. So it sounds quite cool, it's got a lot of mix of things that I'm interested in, and the cover is really cool. As well as Mind of the Phoenix, I have Beautiful Broken Things by Sarah Barnard, which is a contemporary novel. I don't read much contemporary, so this will be quite an interesting book to read, and it will kind of break up all the fantasy that I'll be listening to, because there's no one with powers in this book. It's about friendship and kind of coming out of your shell, I think. Not entirely sure, I'll find out when I read it. And finally, I have a book that the author sent to me to review outside of NetGalley. This is The Death of Danny Daggers by Hayden Wilkes, and it just sounds like a lot of fun. It's got, I think it's a bit of crime, psychopaths, dystopian Britain, and YouTube. A combination of a large mix of things that sounds quite fun as well. So again, looking forward to reading that. I'm going to do my challenge first. I would have done the second, but I thought a challenge might come up, and the only book that applies could be a book that I have set myself to read. So, yeah. I'm going to do the challenge first, just in case that situation occurs. So, yeah, shaking the box. Opening the box. Shaking again. Got 1. Okay. Read a series finale or the next book in a series. I had to add on the next book in a series thing because I only have one end of a series book here, and that is the last book of the Harry Potter series, and I am 2 books behind that, and there's no way I can read both the Order of the Phoenix and the Half-Blood Prince as well as the Deathly Hallows in a month, because they are massive. I'm going to be going for the next book in a series, and amazingly enough, I have 2 options for this. The next book in a series I have to read is Last of the Wild by Trudy Canavan. This is the second book in the Age of the Five series, and I really enjoyed the first one, and I have been putting this book off for a while because I really enjoyed the first one, and I just don't want to be let down. This will be a good excuse to read it, so yes. Quite a big book, but fingers crossed I'll get through it, as well as the 3 other books I have lined up for November. I use the theme female authors this month because all my main books happen to be by female authors. That's pretty exciting. First one is Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. This is about, I believe, someone called Karu who is the adopted daughter of a demon, or like someone who's a member of another world. It's fantasy and it sounds really interesting, and I've heard nothing but good things about it, and I've been recommended it again and again and again, so I'm going to read it. I then have Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit by Jeanette Winterson. This is quite a small book, so it'll make up for the fact that most of the other books I have are quite long. Again, don't really know what it's about. I think it's a story about self-discovery, which I've not really read much of, so I'm quite looking forward to this. Lastly, I will get round to The Queen of the Tearling, which I keep saying I'll read and never do because I really want to read it and I've heard so many good things about it. It's just really big and I just don't want it to not be good. Does that make sense? But this will probably be my weekend read. So those are the 8 books I'm going to read in November. For physical books, ooh, collapsing, then the 3 review copy books I have on my Kindle and 1 audiobook. See how that goes. I will see you next time. Goodbye.